Hey guys,
Hey!
I'm Britt.
And I'm Beck.
Welcome to our channel. This is part 2 of kind of more in-depth, and this is the adding dimension, hence why we look so weird.
I know. So next we're essentially just going to talk about eyeshadow and contour and blush and highlighter and things like that.
Lippies and eyebrows.
So after you're done with your canvas, your flawless, beautiful canvas, I personally don't really do a defined brow. I just kind of, you know, add maybe a little color here and there. I know Brittany does more of a brow than I do, so
I have some sparseness going on for me. So how I like to start is I like to brush mine up where I want them to go. I start in the center and then go out, and I just do the outline, and then I go in and fill in once I kind of get my outline figured out. And a light hand is your best friend. I like to go over the top, and I just follow the line of my brows, which makes it hard right now because they're a little bit wonky, so I kind of have to help them out a little. Like, see how much more shaped this is versus this? Like, there's more definition there. I was like, oh yeah, solid eyebrow.
solid.
She's solid.
Not liquid. Sorry.
Not what? Not liquidless?
Not liquid.
And the experts say your eyebrows should be 2 shades darker than your hair color. This isn't the exact shade for me because I grabbed the wrong one, but I'm just like, well, it's close enough for now. I'll live with it. Or if you want it to be less obvious, then to kind of try and match up with your exact color. Something that you can do there to kind of help if you're wanting like a straight line right here is you can go like this with something straight and use that as your guide to kind of have like straight for your inner corner to have it match up well, because it's hard to do freehand with some stuff.
It is. It really is. I struggle with that for sure.
Yeah. So if you would like a guide to kind of help you, you can do that as well.
Also, if you are just starting out, like filling in your eyebrows, there's some really helpful tutorial videos on YouTube
That are more like in-depth for like specializing
Yep.
for different eye shapes.
Wow, my face looks
Not to toot
really
my
weird
horn.
right now.
It's so weird to see without the dimension added into it.
Yeah, I don't like it. Another thing that sometimes I do, if I do my brows, is go in with concealer and kind of like
Clean them up.
clean them up. I wanna dive in.
Boom. I like to go in with a brow product. Sometimes I do clear, sometimes I do the color that matches. Right now I'm trying this and it works out because then it can also fill in where I maybe missed. So I start at the inner and then go outer, and this is gonna set them so they don't move. And sometimes I forget that I've done that and I'll like itch my eyebrow and I'm like, whoops.
LOL. Looks very bold and defined and fluffy. Eyeballs. So a couple tips for applying eyeshadow. Brittany, you wanna kick us off here?
I like to start off using kind of like in my crease to kind of get me started with color. I start with like a light color. So I use like just like a very like skin color-esque color.
Yep.
And I use a fluffy brush depending on how pigmented I want that color to be and how much I want it to show up. I'll either use this kind of fluffy or I'll use something a little bit less fluffy but still fluffy. And I think today I'll go a little bit more obvious. Brush placement definitely affects eyeshadow and pressure and windshield wiper movement. I dip in a few times and then I tap off twice to get rid of excess so that it's not falling down. And if you're maybe new with eyeshadow or doing a more like bold look and you don't have to worry about fallout messing up the rest of your face, you can either have it baked on your under eye or you could do your eyes first before you do your face. I go in like this, like direction you do is gonna affect the placement and like how it looks. So I like to go here and do a little bit right here and then windshield wiper very light, holding at the end and doing at the top and go very
Tap, tap, tap.
Yeah, you're gonna hear a lot of tapping.
One thing that also helps too is to have like a mirror kind of like below my face and then to just kind of look down and start applying. And this is just a basic eyeshadow tip tutorial. This isn't for anything crazy or crazy colored pigments, so
that'll be next time.
That'll be next time. This is just for like neutral shades.
And then I go in with like a little bit darker shade, this one, to kind of help with that transition to really blend that in. And I go like right under where I put that other color.
I used my initial shade here. This shade up here is my initial. I'm gonna just kind of get that transition in there, and then now I'm gonna go in with this shade right here, a little darker, and I'm gonna apply this on the corner of my lid, moving down, and then I'm gonna blend it in.
There you go.
And the darker shade I'm using right now, I'm focusing my brush more down because I don't want a ton of color to go up towards my eyebrow. I want it to stay down.
Next, I'm gonna go in with, I'm gonna do this color. Or do I wanna go darker? I do, okay. I'm gonna go with this one. And I'm gonna grab another fluffy brush. So it's gonna be still looser, but it's a little bit stiffer than this one is, if you can tell. See that difference there? This one's a little stiffer. So it's gonna put on the pigment a little bit more and show up a little bit more.
Less surface area too.
Yes, that too. So I swirl a little bit here, and then I'm going a little bit lower because I have hooded eyes. So I'm going kind of on the lid, a little bit here for mine. And if you want like more darker all over, do like a little bit higher up to kind of open up your eye more.
I'm just taking a flatter brush, so it's a very flat brush, smaller too. And I'm just going in with that initial transition shade right here and trying to define my, oh my gosh, I can't talk. Define my lower lash line. Just light sweeping motions.
Light touch.
Light touch, darling, light touch.
Light touch, darlings.
And when you're applying for your under eyes, your brush is usually tilted upwards as opposed to going straight in. You want to tilt it up.
So the next brush I'm using is even more dense, but I don't want it to be super, super obvious of like intense color on the outer corner. If I decide I want to, I'll go in with a more dense brush, and like smaller, but this is kind of even more dense of a brush I'm going in with, and I'm going in with this color right here. So it's got like a reddish undertone to it. To start with the outer corner, kind of like patting it to kind of build up that color a little bit before I'm blending it out.
I'm also going to pat some color into my eyelids. I'm gonna go in with this darker brown down here. I'm kind of jumping a couple shades, but I want to keep this copper as the center stage and then add just a little dark on the outer corner.
Very nice, very nice. I kind of like to blend mine, pat it down to here, and then I kind of do like a little C motion right here. It's kind of what I'm doing. Now that I've got like plenty of product there, I'm blending this out. Or you could blend it out as you go. You see the difference already? Like this eye is so much more open than this eye.
It is.
Because I brought it up here just a little bit.
I would say eyeshadow is probably one of my least favorite things.
It's my fave.
I really like the overall look with eyeshadow, but actually doing it is like really intimidating to me.
I love it. I put on like a show, put on some YouTube, and I'm just like, yes, I'll be here for hours.
Like, oh, am I doing this right? Like, this looks patchy. I don't know.
And if you're not sure if it matches like amount of pigment wise, because you've been staring at it for so long, it's hard to tell sometimes. Either ask somebody else, or you can also take a picture, and that way then you can look at it and be like, okay, I need to add more of this color on this side in this place because it doesn't quite match up.
Yep.
That's a helpful tip.
Matte shades work really, really well with brushes. But once
Agreed.
you start to get into sheer shades and sparkles, either wet your brush if you're packing it on, or use your fingertips.
Like wet it with like maybe a setting spray. You could do water, I suppose, but setting spray probably going to be a better outcome.
Yep. So So Brittany, what do you do if you have patchy eyeshadow?
Oh gosh. Sometimes I start over if it's really bugging the crap out of me. Sometimes like try and blend it out as much as you can and really like try and like blend out that patchiness. And then you'll have to go back in with that dark color and kind of like press it in and then blend it out, but you'll have to like go back in and like really press.
Because look how much better that is already. Because I just packed in more of that darker color.
Yeah.
Don't give up on an eyeshadow the first time either, because you may be applying it wrong.
Yeah.
It may be a you problem.
Never.
So, I know, like, for me, these cheaper eyeshadow palettes have a little more fallout or a tiny bit more patchy, so they just take a little extra love to get
extra love and care.
Yeah.
I've not used this dark of a color in so long, and I'm like so many regrets right now.
Yeah, I'm like really nervous right now. Okay, so now, like I was talking about earlier, I'm gonna add some like sheer color into the eye, and I'm not going to use a brush, I'm just gonna use my finger. So I'm gonna add this sheer kind of glittery shade to the inner portion of my eye. I'm just gonna use a light swiping motion. And then sometimes I do it on the bottom lashes on the inner corner as well.
I use my pinky. It's small.
Yo, pinky.
I'll rub around and I go and I pat it.
Your pinky pink.
My pinky. And then I'll also rub very gently. Some people will go in with concealer for that part and then do it to make it more bold, do like a cut crease. I like to be more seamless with mine.
So I'm gonna show you how I use eyeshadow to line my eyes. I'm gonna wet my brush. So I'm just gonna use setting spray, it doesn't really matter. Wet it down. Use like a flat tip like this, essentially. And then I'm gonna go in with the black shade in this palette and dip the tip of my brush in like that. And then I'm gonna stay as close to my waterline as possible and look down and begin to line.
While she's doing that, I then go in with like a still small brush, but like a little bit fluffier with the like second darkest shade I did, and then I'll do that from here to here, and then kind of like a little bit right here, just to kind of, I'll do it and I'll show you, and then I'll go in with like the lighter shade and do right here, and then I'll add like a little bit of sparkle. There, don't go too far down because you don't want to add back in dark circle. Right along that inner corner.
Yeah, so that's like a very soft liner.
I'm gonna take this little fluffy guy with that sparkle and just kind of put it on my brow bone right here.
Ooh, yes.
So for mascara, not everyone uses eyelash curlers. This one is from Revlon. Like, you don't need anything fancy. Elf has some, Revlon has, like, drugstore works great.
Yep.
Like, you don't need anything fancy. But I go right here and I look up. Make sure you're only clamping eyelash and not skin, because that's gonna hurt. So I look up and do it. And I'll crimp, whatever. Do this thing as I am letting go to keep it up the whole lash. And sometimes outer corner needs a little extra help. And inner corner, depending on where I'm grabbing at.
Then I'm just going straight in with mascara.
I'm not getting a good grip.
And I'm looking down. One thing I've learned with mascara application, especially for longer lashes, to do short, quick motions initially, just to get that product on there. So short and quick. See how I'm kind of just like quickly adding the product.
I use a lash primer because it kind of sets my eyes up for the mascara or my lashes.
So I usually apply 2 coats of mascara just because I really like my lashes to be bold, but you could totally stop there.
You don't have to use a lash primer. It's just what I like to do. I don't have, the mascara tends to be more agreeable for me. Now, since it's white, I do a little bit, like over the top a little bit of my lashes, but not very much because I don't want them to be pressed down. And if you want fake lashes, you do you, honey.
And if you get mascara on your lid, wait. Do not go in and try to get it off right away. Wait for it to dry and then go in with a brush and lightly brush it away.
Boom, baby.
Boom. Now
Time to
we're
sculpt.
going to sculpt our faces. I'm just going to use one color, just a Hoola bronzer. For me, I just do a simple, very, very simple bronze to look. I just like to go to the outer portions of my face and sculpt the places that I need it, and I don't really use dimensions like Brittany, so she'll kind of walk you through the dimensions.
Yes. I like to first go in with a fluffy brush and go in with a darker shade. Like, try and swatch it on your hand to kind of see what color looks more like natural. Like, this shade would probably be a little bit harsh for my skin tone. It's, I have a little bit more reddish in my skin, so this is gonna match my skin a little bit better than this is going to. So I'm gonna use this shade, and I'll eventually use this shade at some point. So those are the shades I like to use, but you can mix shades together to get other shades with this kind of stuff.
Yep.
So, but I first go in with a fluffy brush and kind of do, like Beck said, like around the edge of my face.
Yep.
And a little bit on my nose to kind of help it match the rest of my face. If you're not sure where to contour at, definitely try and feel like where your cheekbone is at. Like mine's right here. I like to go a little bit right here with, this is more of kind of like with, it's more of like a bronzer type situation is what I'm doing with this. So this is kind of like the bronzing stage. And contour is where you're really gonna like be more direct with where you're putting stuff.
Yeah, contour is definitely more of like a harsh motion, whereas like bronzing up your skin, you want to be very light. Very light and swift.
And I have a bigger forehead, so I'm gonna bring it a little bit lower. If you have a small forehead, do like very little. For smaller foreheads, maybe just do like right here and here a little bit, and then just do like here. You don't have to do like all over. If you have a bigger forehead, you can, because this is gonna add shadow to your face. And then like the brightening powder and stuff is where you're bringing light and drawing attention. This is where we're adding the dimension to have more dimension in the face and like make things more accentuated.
Dimension for dimension.
Then I go in with a more densely packed. I'm gonna use the same color. And you can use different product for like all over, like it's making like sun-kissed and kind of warming up the skin a bit. And then contour is where I like to go like right here. So kind of like the top of the ear kind of thing, and like follow that down to your mouth, but don't go all the way because that's gonna be more harsh. And I pat it. If you want to be more like obvious with it, you can hold more here. If you want to be less obvious, do here and do very light. But pat first and then go in and you can move it around because otherwise it's going to smudge stuff. So this is where I like to do the C to really kind of get around that cheekbone and really make mine more pronounced. But like see the difference already.
Another thing to do with your bronzer is kind of drag it midway down your neck, just to make sure things are blending in. To recap on where I applied my bronzer, I went on my cheekbone and then I worked my way slowly up to my temples and stayed close to my hairline, so I was brushing away from my face. And then I went up on my forehead by my hairline and just kind of, again, side swipe motions, and then my other temple away from the face, down my other cheekbone, swiping away from the face, and then I lightly brush over my nose, just lightly, and then jawline, neck, and then right here under my lip, very lightly.
Solid.
And then I just kind of go in with my blender and make sure everything is pressed into the skin very lightly. This is optional, you don't have to. I just like to make sure that there are no harsh lines or anything. And then I'm also going to go back in with my brightening powder and just kind of go down the center of my nose just to make sure that it's not orange. And then
fair enough.
I'll go in on my forehead and around my nose. A little bit on my chin.
So now I'm going in with this lighter color to kind of, it's a little bit closer to my skin color. Closer. I'm doing like a dense brush. I do want to get another one of these instead of doing something so dense and not as fluffy as this is.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, this is kind of what I'm using. You got a budget, you stick to it, right?
Yep, that's right.
So now I'm going kind of like a little bit above and slightly on where I place that dark color to kind of help it be a more smooth transition into my skin. And then I do the same on my forehead to kind of blend that in with the rest of me. And then I do like right on the edge here, since it's more closer to like my skin, so it's not as obvious. I do like right along because I really want to help with any sort of this situation that can happen. So for blush, you don't have to do this, but I've noticed a difference and I kind of like it. I don't do it all the time, but sometimes I'll use this shade to kind of transition from the contour to my blush. And I get a brush kind of like this, a dab, and I kind of, since this is like the transition one, I kind of go where my contour is like a little bit, but above it, and a little bit on my cheek.
Yep.
And then there's that slight difference, but I like that, so.
I like it.
Thank you.
And I'll be using a cream blush. So with cream blushes, you don't want to swipe. You want to stipple very lightly where you want your blush to go. And for me lately, I've been going a little further back on my face.
Be more kind of like a lift too.
Yep, to be more lifted, because you definitely want to focus more up than down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just kind of lightly stippling that cream blush on. If you get too much product, you go in with whatever applicator you use for your foundation and just kind of go over.
The blush shade that I like to have, it's kind of more like the brownie rose color kind of thing. That's a bad swatch. It's hard to get this swatched, but highlighter. I like to use, some people like to use a dense,
like me.
Yeah.
Dense.
I like to use a fluffier one and kind of go like light, but like I go like right here and I go right here, like right on / above the blush. And you don't have to do this. I like to do it a little bit on my cheeks to kind of bring a little brightness.
All about that C shape. So I would say that as far as like finishing sprays, there's not really a method to that. It really just depends on if you're going for a longevity of your makeup or if you maybe want that extra finished look. It's not necessary. So Brittany and I could leave and go to work like this. We'd be fine. Or go out and we'd be fine. But I found that with setting spray, it increases the longevity of my makeup, and then also with wearing a mask, if I decide to wear makeup and wear a mask, it kind of keeps that barrier.
And there are plenty of different kinds of setting sprays. Some can be very drying for your skin. MAC Fix Plus is a good one. I also like the Morphe spray, a more budget friendly option.
I kind of drench my face a little bit,
and that works for you.
As far as lips go, I'm just gonna use a lip gloss today. Brittany, do you have any tips for lip gloss? I don't really wear, or lipstick. I don't really wear lipstick that much, so can't really.
Well, since I did kind of like a nude, I'll do like a little bit of pink to kind of offset a little bit. With lipstick, it's practice because you have to kind of get to know your lip shape, and if you want to overline, great. If you don't, then like follow exact. I like to use the tip first and kind of outline if I'm not using a liner, and then I kind of go in. And I typically go in with like a little bit of a gloss to kind of high point certain areas.
Buddy!
Ta-da! Boom.
That is the finished look.
Yeah. If you have any further questions on like doing something a little bit more like in depth, like a certain part that you like want to see more of, or you want us to go like a little bit slower with something specifically, so you can like really follow along and try it, let us know what you would like to see because you're the one watching. So let us know. We have fun doing it no matter what. So if someone else ends up enjoying watching it, then cool.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah.
We really appreciate your support and your feedback. So like Brittany said, leave a comment below.
Be nice.
Their videos. if there are some themes that you want to see or videos that you want us to do, definitely let us know.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. I hope that you learned something new and can give something a try. If you tried something and it was helpful or maybe didn't work or whatever, just let us know. We'd like to hear back. We like feedback and we like to hear if you're trying some of the products we like, or maybe a product didn't work for you or it did, whatever. Just let us know. You can check us out on our Instagram. We'll have it linked below, and we'll have all the products below too, so you can find those. So go ahead if you would like to subscribe, like, comment, follow us on Instagram. You'll see more stuff from us, you know, if you feel like it, you know, come hang out. So,
All right.
yeah. Have a good week, guys. Bye.